Hey angels, I'm Jess, women's health coach and Pilates teacher, and today we are going to be chatting everything pelvic floor. We're going to be talking about how insanely important your pelvic floor is as part of your overall core. It's just as important as your diaphragm and your abdominal muscles. Cool? I genuinely believe it's so important for us to have an understanding of what is happening within our bodies, because then how else can we improve our health and well-being? It would be like throwing shit at the wall and hoping it sticks, you know? That's why we can only really make real change in our health when we get what's happening internally. So think about your spine. It's important, right? Your spine is attached to your pelvis. It's attached to your rib cage and kind of your scapula. So knowing your pelvic floor doesn't only have a relationship with your thighs, with your hips, with your abdomen, but it's also close friends with your spine and rib cage. Kind of changes how you think about it, right? It is a key part of your entire internal structure. And in order to understand it, we need to understand our abdominals. So we have 4 layers: transverse abdominals, TVAs, internal obliques, external obliques, and your rectus abdominis. So super quick, speedy tour on those. TVAs help to stabilize your spine like a corset. They keep your spine safe, best friends with your diaphragm, which is how we breathe, and your pelvic floor. Obliques support kind of, but they allow you to side bend and rotate. So they have more movement than your TVAs. Then your rectus abdominis, the 6-pack. These help you to flex your spine. It's a real big mover. So it doesn't just stabilize us very well because it's got too much movement in it. So your core's main jobs are regulating pressure and helping to transfer load within the body. That's why it's so important to learn how to breathe properly to help stabilize our core in the right way. 3 words: rib cage movement. Think about what it is protecting: your heart, your lungs, your diaphragm. You could not live without these 3 things. So that is how important your core is. It is quite literally life. So your abdominal muscles attach to the bottom of your rib cage and to your pelvis. It is, I like to think of it as a link. So everything above the rib cage and everything below the pelvis. So if we neglect one area, like our breathing or our pelvic floor, then everything else is going to be off kilter. And everyone has a pelvic floor, every single person. It sits happily at the bottom of your pelvis, and its main function is to regulate pressure in the body. Not only physical, but it holds a lot of tension, stress, and emotional weight too. So yes, while it does stop us going to the bathroom at the wrong time, it has a multitude of other benefits. It's just so insane. It's crazy. Think about it this way, okay? If you didn't have your pelvic floor and you sneezed, your internal organs would shoot out of your body. They literally just fire out. So that's why we've got to keep it working well and functioning properly. So let's do a little visualization. Feet on the floor, knees, legs slightly apart. I want you to imagine there is a light coming out of your pelvic floor, the base, okay? When you're relaxed, that light is completely bright, it's shining, it's doing its thing. So take a breath, relax the glutes, the hips, visualize this light. It's as bright as the North Star, okay? Now let's do the opposite. Let's draw up tight, pull everything upwards and shut that light off. Not a beam left. You are aiming for complete darkness, Norway in winter, no light. What sensations do you feel? Do you have any tightness in the hips, in your hip flexors maybe? Your glutes fired up? Your ribs pulled downwards without meaning? Do you feel a lot of pressure, a lot of tightness? Okay, let that go now. Let it go. Take a breath. So many of us think that when we contract our pelvic floor, when we are strengthening it, when we are actively engaging it as we move, as we work out, as we go about our day, that we should be aiming for complete lights out. We shouldn't. We should be aiming for dimness. A little light, it's not shining super bright, it's like dusk. Another way to think of it is as if your pelvic floor was an elevator. So what we just tried was floor 10, penthouse suite, right at the top of the skyscraper. You want to go up to floor 3. So let's try it together. Feet flat on floor, legs slightly apart. You're going to imagine pulling the base of your pelvic floor muscles up slightly. Let it go and imagine that light. Light it up. Then in, dim the light slightly and let it go. Full beam, torch ahead. Gentle dim and relax and let the light go. Every single muscle needs to be contracted and released. We cannot live in a complete state of constant grip. We shouldn't be living our life on floor 10. So let's try playing again, but with the pelvic floor's relationship to your core now as well, okay? I want you to inhale. Feel the light bursting out the pelvic floor. Your rib cage expands with all that air and your fingers move away from one another when they're placed on the ribs. Then exhale. Ribs gently pull downwards, fingers move closer together, and your pelvic floor light dims. It doesn't go off, it doesn't disappear, it's not tight. It's a slight lift. Inhale, full light display. Relax that pelvic floor, fingers are apart. Exhale, slight dim, ribs move closer together. If we are stressed, if we are burnt out, if we're anxious, we subconsciously clench our pelvic floor. It is a protective mechanism. But this can lead to trigger points, knots, tension in the pelvic floor muscles. So in the video coming on Tuesday, I'm going to walk you through some myofascial releases for your pelvic floor and some gentle exercises and stretches you can practice daily to deepen that connection, to learn how to release in your own body and to allow space, calmness, relief down there. But I really wanted to give you a brief background on your pelvic floor first because it's super important that you practice diaphragmatic breath before trying these moves. So each day up until Tuesday, I want you to practice that light show. And it will work so well for you, the movements, once you understand what's happening, you're connecting to your breath, you're allowing the core to move in its natural rhythm. So let's do it one more time and let's incorporate the core. Feet flat on floor, legs apart, hands on the ribs. Inhale, the hands move outwards away from each other. The pelvic floor is released. We have got a huge light shining out there. And then we inhale. We gently, slightly lift. We dim the light. We go to floor 3. our ribs move slightly down, fingers move closer together. You can also think about it as if your hip bones were moving upwards towards your ribs, and your ribs, the bony little ridge on the ribs, is moving downwards towards the hips. As always, if you've got any questions, leave them in the comments and we can chat. And I will see you on Tuesday for 8 delicious, juicy, fluffy, noodly. Ooh, my body got so excited then because the moves are they're so good. You're gonna love them. And you will marvel at how by releasing your pelvic floor, you also release tension in the jaw and in the neck. So I'll see you on Tuesday. Thank you for listening. Bye.